You want to get the lights back there so I can see what I'm writing about here?
Yeah.
All right. All right, continuing with transformers. Is there like an on-off button on this thing? This is far too technically advanced for me. Apparently there is. All right. Okay, so we are on point D. And I think my pen is a little too fat here, so we'll try that. Okay, put that away. All right, D. Keep in mind that a transformer cannot create power. So if voltage goes up, current comes down. Current must come down to compensate. Because the PS stay the same. Power is volts times amps. So if the volts goes up on this side and it's volts times amps and the PS stay the same, then current's got to come down. And that would, I guess I was going to make that point next. That would assume that the transformer is 100% efficient, but it's not. So now you're going to have power loss across it. So you're actually going to have lower power on the secondary.
Kevin?
Yes?
Is another reason for that is that one counter EMF was canceled out and the other one is not?
I don't know exactly why it's not 100% efficient, but you're going to have, but I believe it has, there's some of that, which is going to create heat, and whenever you have heat, you have power loss.
Okay.
They're running current through wire. You can lose some.
Yeah. Good point. In a transformer,
Excuse me.
that is 100% efficient, I'm sorry, I just have to say it. So I started watching Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, it's Nick!
I'm here.
That doesn't bother you, obviously. You laughed about it earlier, so.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, you said the name and I was walking
Walter.
out.
Oh, what's up, Walter?
I was like, I saw my name and I was like, oh, Breaking Bad.
You know, it's funny. We actually have a donut at the shop called Walter White.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's got crystal meth in it?
Yep. We actually just got a new supplier.
A new ingredient.
Yeah, it's actually blue too.
You're not making it with
blue hurricanes and stuff on it.
the beans, are you?
Huh?
The beans?
The beans?
The pinto beans?
Oh no.
Yeah. He made the ricin out of the beans.
Oh, you're talking about
Dude's like, rice and beans? Anyway, all right, in a transformer that is 100% efficient, most are, I mean, you got a test on Friday whether I get through this or not. Most are 90 to 98%, so that's not bad. 90% to 90%. Amperage in the primary. Amperage in the primary. Actually, this doesn't make sense. This should be two things. Regardless, I should just said most transformers are about 90 to 98% efficient. Made a whole nother point because these two don't together. But in a transformer that is 100% efficient, most are 90 to 98. Amperage in the primary is inversely proportional to the amperage in the secondary, to the amps in the secondary. Regardless of the efficiency, that is still true. The amps in the primary is inversely proportional to the amps in the secondary. So if your amperage in the primary I don't want to say that. Amps in the primary is up, then it's down in the secondary. If, I don't even like that statement, because it's going to depend if you have a step up or a step down transformer. So kind of the whole thing is a little bit false. False.
Volt-amps.
Scribble that out.
Volt-amps
No.
It's volt-amps on the right.
Yeah, I'll show you. Okay, scribble it out. It's, yeah, I'll let you kind of, just put a little, false there. All right, the formula. Sometimes like formula. It's not totally false, but that is EP over ES equals IS over IP. So notice how the P's cross. That means it's inverse. And so it's true to say that if the amps in the primary go up, the amps in the secondary are going to go down. If the amps in the secondary are up, then they're going to be, it's just the opposite. And I will show you.
Constant voltage.
What's that?
For constant voltage.
Yeah, not with because your voltage is changing. Because your voltage is changing, your amps have to change. It's the whole point of a transformer is to change the voltage. Change the voltage of the you have to, but you keep the power the same. Or turns in the primary divided by turns in the secondary equals the voltage in the primary over voltage in the secondary. Those are not inverse, they are proportional, equals current in the secondary over current in the primary. And since those switched, it does make it an inverse relationship. If the primary has fewer windings than the secondary, it is a step-up transformer. It is a step-up transformer. What got stepped up? The what? The voltage got stepped up. So that leads me to believe that when we talk about step up or step down, it's always in reference to voltage. But if the primary has fewer windings than the secondary, and it's a step up transformer, what goes up? Voltage. What went down? Current. And power stayed the same, except for power losses. If the primary winding has more windings, if the primary has more windings than the secondary, then it is a step-down transformer. A step-down transformer will step down the voltage, will decrease, decrease voltage, but increase amps. All the formulas are the same. So in a 100% efficient transformer, power in must equal power out. Can't create power. So as voltage goes up, current comes down. If voltage goes down, current goes up. All right, let's put it to use. Primary. Primary has 150 turns. The secondary has 300 turns. Input. Input is 120 volts AC. Output is to a 100 ohm load. What does that look like? So we can kind of do this. This has a lot more turns. All right, what are we going to do here?
Plug and play.
Plug and play. What do you want to look at?
Double the voltage of in the secondary.
Yeah, I made that one kind of easy, but for a reason. We can look at turns primary over turns secondary equals voltage. Primary over voltage secondary. So what do we know? 150 over 300 equals, we know the primary is 120, and we want to find that. So cross multiply. We have 300 times 120 equals 150x. I don't have my calculator. So what is 300 times 120? 36,000 equals 150x. We got to isolate the x, so we do what? Divide each side by 150. That cancels out, so that's x. And what does x equal? 240 volts. So I can go back up here and I can say 240 volts. And now I can solve here. 2.4. 2.4 amps are flowing there. And I can come over here and kind of do the same thing. Well, I could do it like this. What is my power?
watts.
576 watts. What's my power over here? 576 watts, unless I said it's not 100% efficient. And now I can solve for I. 4.8. Why, that's nearly twice as much.
Almost.
And my ohms are going to be 100?
Wait.
I was going to say. Doesn't look like it.
20 divided by
25.
Huh?
25.
25. 25 ohms. There we go. Not hard. That will be on the test. Big question is, do I give you that formula?
Just throw some efficiency in there.
I'm not going to do that.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Nope, I don't give you the formula.
Awesome.
Well, it's turns, voltage.
What do you call this circuit? Like series?
That's two series circuits.
Okay, it's two series.
Two independent series circuits, one next to each other. It's just that the power supply is a little weird.
Yeah.
But this is the power supply circuit, and you just have to kind of figure out what the heck it's doing, and then know that it's going to step it up or step it down. All right, is everybody good with that? All right, so I can move on from this. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is a little difficult. But I think I figured out how to make it not difficult, so just kind of work with me. But this is definitely stuff that's on the FAA test. That's diodes and solid state stuff. So diodes, semiconductors, things like that. So let's talk about some terms here. What is a diode? So what is a diode? A diode is a device that allows current to flow in one direction but stops the flow in the other, like an electrical check valve. And we looked at several weeks ago a rectifier circuit where we had multiple diodes. We kind of had to follow the path around in a triangle. In path, it would allow current to go one way but not the other. So we're going to be looking at more diode type circuits, rectifier circuits when we get into alternators. So that's where we're going to see them again. But a diode is simply a device that allows current to flow in one direction, but stops the flow in the other. But stops the flow in opposite direction. It's an electrical check valve, basically. There's some other types that won't meet this definition, but for the most part, this is what we'd say. It is an electrical check valve. Meaning it allows current to flow in one direction, not the other. And I use the word solid state. Why? That means what it sounds like. A device in which solid material is used to control currents. And then I think, wow. If I look at something that's not solid state and it controls current, like a commutator segment on a generator, which is very mechanical, it's still solid. It would hurt if I threw it at you, or you threw it at me. Don't do that. But it means a device in which solid material, solid material is used to control electric currents. Solid material is used to control electrical currents. But then that makes me think of terms like state of the art. the hell does that mean? Latest and greatest?
Postmodern.
Postmodern?
Yeah.
That means we'll invent it tomorrow. Or why do we say brand new? Why not just new? I don't have the answers for these things. Why do we park in the driveway and drive down a parkway? I don't know these things.
Why are buckets called buckets when everybody's so close together?
Yes! These are all things I wonder.
Why do they say balls to the wall?
I know the answer to that.
Boy, do I have a story.
No, it's a military term.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh,
I went back here. I'll never forget.
the throttles and mixture controls on older aircraft were little balls.
Mm.
And so when you put them forward to the wall, you went faster. So that's all it was. You were thinking it was like dirty. So it's not a big deal. All right. Time for one of my more favorite videos. We're going to talk about semiconductor theory. Semiconductor theory. And I have a video for you. Which means all right. Writing the word silicon just made, I guess that's what kind of made me think that. I'm sorry, but that's exactly where it went. So thinking of other uses for silicon. So as 14 electrons, which was 2, 8, and 4. And what were we allowed to have? That would be the third ring. So 2 times 3, 2 times n squared is how we figure out how many electrons are allowed in each ring. So we're the third ring, 18. 4 in the last. And A, B, C, D, E. Germanium has 32. That's 32. 2, 8, 18, and 4. So there we go. And as the gentleman said in the video, these two atoms form bonds easily and do not easily move electrons from one atom to the other. So these two atoms or compounds form bonds easily and do not easily move electrons from one atom to another. Right, so as the video showed, you have, we take silicon or germanium or whatever we're talking about, and you have these atoms, and they kind of want to fit together, and then they're happy, right? They form these bonds, and they're stuck together, and then we talk about the electrons, which have to move, like in copper or something like that, where we have many rings of electrons, so we get way out to the outer valence ring, and then we say they're loosely held, and those electrons tend to give off quite easily because they're not really bound down to the nucleus of the atom. So those electrons easily move, right? And so we get current flow. But now we have this thing with silicon or germanium, and so we have them stuck together, and we can add some power to it, and the electrons are like, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fine here, right? Oh, there's another video, but it's really creepy. I forgot about that one. It give you nightmares. I don't know what I did with it. Maybe it's the next one. So already giving you nightmares. Just uses these really weird looking things. So, all right. So electrons don't want to flow. So we take out and we dope it, right? We put something in there that's going to either bring in with it an extra electron or deficient an electron, or we're going to call it a hole. So that's G, so that's doping. Doping adds impurities to the semiconductor material. impurities to the semiconductor material.
Phosphorus and boron.
Let me see. An element with 5 electrons an element with 5 electrons is added to one side. Like added to one side. One side of what? I'm getting a little ahead of myself, and we're going to bring it back. But we talk about transistors, and that's what he was showing. We have like the NPN transistor or the PNP, where the material is either P-type on both ends with an N in the middle, so P-type sandwich or an N-type sandwich. So an element with 5 electrons is added to one side to create an extra electron. To create an extra electron. Let's see, an extra electron. So if we have an extra electron on the sides, would that be an NPN or PNP? That's right, so negative, positive, negative. So this is a negative side. This is a negative side. Negative side, or N-type. N-type. Or cathode. And the doping agents, which I won't ask you on the test. Antimony, which some of you might be paying antimony. Probably too young. Antimony for germanium. Or phosphorus. Or arsenic. ARSENIC for silicon. All right, somebody help me out. Getting close to Christmas. The Grinch song. Something arsenic. Toadstool and arsenic sandwich? Is that what he says?
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Oh, but you gotta listen to the song.
You don't have to.
My daughter-in-law is like the world's biggest Christmas fan. She would know it off the top of her head. This is the, let's see, I already did that. Sorry. Got sidetracked. 1, 2, this is that was 2. That's my problem. This is 3. All right. Let's see. It's almost time to go. We can stop there. Good place to stop. That's not